Talking F1 with Steve, Neil and the Gov. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Monday night Talking Formula One, the fan show live. It is your weekly pit stop, your weekly time to have your say on all things Formula One, and what a race weekend it was, from the F1 to the F2 and everything in between. And as a new fan, certainly a race I have yet to encounter. It had some, well, we're just talking offline, it had it all: scary moments, good moments, absolutely heart attack moments. M1 says best race ever. I will let you guys and girls decide if that's the case. Ian Barron, thank you. Halo, absolutely. And obviously Jean Todd messaging today saying, he's proud that that's one of the things he brought in against some disagreements and flack. It certainly saved at least 2 lives this week alone. EJ, what a great weekend at Silverstone. Thank God for health and safety. That Halo saved that boy's life. Thank God. Hamilton unlucky not to win because he maybe could have done without the safety car. Absolutely, that safety car. The lads will get into it more than I possibly ever could dream of getting into it. But yeah, that's how I read the situation. I wonder how Neil and Steve read it. We are also on the hunt for Groom's speech best liners. That's right. Mr. Moles has to write a Groom's speech at some point. We want to know your best liners. What should Neil include in the Groom's speech? Can you help him out? If you're listening back, leave a comment. If you're listening on audio, go to the review section. And don't forget, we're live every Monday, 7:15 ish. We do like to play it fast and loose with the checkered flag. Right, let's go. The aficionado, Stephen Thompson.
No, I think Bottas he'll be the one to really hold out.
My man, how you doing?
I'm not bad. Yourself? Good
man. Caught up with those short intros again. Like, he was fit. He was like moving some pens about.
I get so used to thinking of the old intro. I'm like, I've got time to clear up.
No, you haven't. How are you?
I'm okay. You?
Good man. Yeah, I'm good. Let's just crack straight in. Let's just go ahead and bring Neil in, because this race needs a lot of unpacking. Mr. Positivity, Neil Mould.
Yeah, but we're crap. We're not going to dominate any team.
And we're kind of flying at the pace that the race started with. You can't talk about this race, boys, without obviously addressing what happened to start off with. I've got courtesy of TikTok.
I'm not sure about the fan who was making all the noises, but
they're having a good time.
Well, I'm not often lost for words, but I've seen that a couple of times. I'm still lost for words. You two are F1 fans for a long, long time, much longer than I. Talk me through what the.
You don't see cars going over the tyre barrier that often, do you?
No. It's very rare you see a Formula One car flip, and even when they do, they usually find a way to get back on to the right way up. But this one just skidded along upside down over the barrier. It came from nowhere, didn't it, really? George Russell moved across ever so slightly at the start. Because Latifi went, but great start from Latifi. There was a gap. He went for it. Russell didn't have the best of starts. Gasly tried to go for that gap, which suddenly closed. And he pitched Russell into Zhou. And I think that was just that wrong angle, tyre on tyre, which flipped him over. Any other angle, he would have been okay. That was shocking. From the angle we saw it on TV, all we saw was a car just go skidding across upside down, and it looked like an Alpha, but you couldn't quite be sure. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Gravel, that comment there, not really, because if it had been a runoff, it had just gone straight into that tyre barrier even faster. Gravel is designed to stop the car, but it can only do that when the car is the right way up.
No, it's important to say he is okay. He is tweeted he is okay. The Halo saved his life. He is fine. But Neil, have you ever seen something as... it is graphic. It is horrible. I'm probably going to clip it out of the show because I don't even like looking at it. Ever seen a crash like that in F1 before? That's real... That's close.
Well, we've had a few of late, haven't we? I know Grosjean's is the main one that stands out to everyone. But there have been a few others where we've said, thank God for the halo. I know it's a hideous looking thing, but it's done its job on a few occasions now.
I was I was thinking back earlier, there's so many accidents that could have been a lot worse out of the halo. Obviously, Zhou Guanyu yesterday. There was the Dennis Hauger, Roy Nissany incident in Formula 2 earlier yesterday. Grosjean, Charles Leclerc back in 2018, Belgium. Alonso went over the top of him.
Yeah.
And Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in Monza last year when Verstappen's tyre got dragged across Lewis Hamilton's helmet. So,
can we also just have a moment for George Russell? Absolute. Before the steward had even moved, he's out of his car, running towards friend.
His own selflessness ended his race, really, didn't it? Because he could have kept that car going, got back to the pits, and carried on. But
he went back to the car and it wouldn't start again because he told the marshals to keep clear, don't touch it. He tried to get in it and restart it, but it wouldn't. And then he went off to talk to the team, and in that time, the marshals had put it on the back of a lorry, so that was him out of the race.
Oh, I feel so bad for him.
But the actions, I always say the actions are the measure of the man. And that is a man that had no regard for anything except his friend who was just skidded across tarmac. What an absolute legend. I mean, the guy is just going up and up and up in stock every single race, both racecraft, but also now as a gentleman, Steve.
Yeah, it struck me as something you'd really see in the sort of the 70s and 80s, you know, when it was obviously Formula 1 was a lot different then and a lot more
gentleman
dangerous.
Racing.
Yeah, and it was, there's images of when Niki Lauda had his massive crash, Germany 76, of these drivers getting out of their cars and trying to get him out of the car. And you've seen it in the past. Fellow drivers stop and pull over, and usually they pull up next to the guy and give him a thumbs up, see if he's okay, and then carry on. But obviously he couldn't really do that yesterday. So to stop, he sacrificed his own race. Obviously he didn't know he'd be doing it at the time. But
if Joe had done a thumbs up, you wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, he's doing a thumbs up. No, I can't see. But yeah, he sacrificed his own race to go and make sure that, your fellow racer was okay. And that is, little things like that. See him sprinting across the gravel onto the tyres. It was good to see.
I concur with that. Absolutely concur with that.
While it is a shame that George's top 5 finishes have come to an end, and obviously he couldn't see the checker flag in his home Grand Prix, the first home Grand Prix where he had a competitive car, semi-competitive car. That was a hell of a reaction from him. So fair play. Yeah,
absolutely. Any final thoughts on that incident? Metal J Senna stopped and helped the driver. Any final thoughts before we move on to the race itself? I mean, I'm obviously careful to consider we've got a race to also speak about, but this is I suppose it needs full attention.
Albon in all of that, he slowed down and got hit by Vettel, didn't he? Hit the was it a concrete wall?
Hit the concrete barrier, the inside of turn 1. So bad, wasn't it? He jammed his anchors on when he saw everything happening ahead of him, and Vettel just reacted that split second too slow, punted him into the barrier, and he probably could, if he'd have avoided what happened next, he could have got it back to the pits and got a new nose on it, because it looked like it was just nose cone damage, obviously wing damage. But then he collected, I think, an Alpha Tauri and someone else, and he ended up with both front corners off. And obviously, it turns out he maybe couldn't have done because he spent a fair bit of time in Coventry Hospital. He's okay now as well. He tweeted, the team tweeted, they said he's okay. Yeah, he was discharged yesterday evening.
I guess the G-force, the hit against the concrete barrier was enough that, he needed checks and everything.
Yeah, it was a good because it was the first impact with the barrier. That might have been the one that triggered, obviously, off the necessity to go to hospital. But then there was the 2 following thumps with 2 other cars that really made sure that Williams couldn't race anymore. And again, gutted for him, because although he had a poor qualifying, he had the upgraded Williams and it was looking good. So, we'll never know now, but here's what it is. There we go.
We've got Russell, EJ Norris, Russell, future champion, 100%, and EJ, he got hit 3 times, Albon. So
it was
right in the middle of it. I didn't realize he had to go to hospital as well. That's
I saw one of his an Instagram post he put up of him lying there.
Yeah,
because I was surprised as well that you saw the main incident and you didn't think anyone else would have been quite as bad, but if anything, Albon seemed worse.
He came off worse than he. Yeah, I think because of most of Zhou's incident, he was upside down. But the G-force can't have been that great. It probably was, but it can't have felt as bad as that knock that Albon had when his head shot forward when he hit that barrier nose on. It was obviously the second part of Zhou's incident, which was the bad bit. But yeah, it's great to see that everyone's okay because Russell was out in that, Albon, Zhou, other drivers were caught up in it as well. There was debris flying everywhere. So yeah, F1 safety has come on a long, long way.
Speaking of which, the Halo, often criticised, often discussed. Obviously, when it was brought in, lots of disagreements, lots of do we need this, etc. But there can be no doubt now, surely, can there? This is not only here to stay. It's definitely needed. It saved lives this weekend alone, Steve.
Yeah, I was critical of the Halo when I saw they were bringing in this cockpit protection thing. My first thought was, well, it's open cockpit. This takes away some of the aspect of it being open cockpit. I was critical of it to start with, and then when I saw it on those first cars back in 2018, it took a while to get used to. Now it's weird seeing an F1 car without it. It took a long time to get used to it, but I would much rather have an uglier car with a driver that's safe and okay than, well, who even knows what we could have had, over the past few years, obviously with multiple drivers escaping. A lot of people, even drivers, have been critical of the Halo, and again, it sort of takes away some of the open cockpit aspect, but it's fantastic. One of the best things to happen to Formula One, apart from George Russell.
Well, yeah. After this weekend, you won't find many that disagree with you. But Neil, the British Grand Prix always finds a way of delivering. It delivered again this weekend.
Yeah, there was that initial incident, and then we're in for thinking Verstappen's got this one sewn up. And what did you guys think of after the red flag and the restart? Was the initial qualifying lineup not any positions that were made on the original start?
It was a strange one, wasn't it? Because they all came into the pits how they finished lap one, and then they was doing a bit of a domino shuffle. There was cars on trailers being dragged around. It was so strange to see. Latifi won it. He was started the race in 10th, and he ended up the restart in 8th. Which
they claimed that because not all the cars got to sector 2 before it was red flagged, they done the qualifying lineup. Sounded a little bit silly, but yeah, as I wanted Sainz to do well, I didn't mind too much.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Because Verstappen absolutely nailed that first start, and you thought, oh, here we go. Yeah, Verstappen's got him, and he's going to cruise off because that Red Bull just looked insane this weekend. So planted, and then restart, and Sainz is in front again. Okay, I'm fine with that. And he absolutely shut the door this time. There was no way Verstappen was going to get through. And Sainz, to be fair, we've not often seen him get his elbows out like that. And that was fantastic from him. It was quite good watching Sainz make that mistake, and then Verstappen went through, and you thought, oh, yeah, okay, back to normal. Verstappen's got it. Sainz couldn't handle the pressure. And then was it a lap later, 2 laps later? Problems with Verstappen, and through they all go.
Ian Barron, who's got the door open?
I've got the window open because it was stuffy as hell in here.
There you go. Steve is you're a busy road. M1, what about the idiots running on track? Zhou crashing saved their lives.
Yeah, that was something I was going to say, the protesters. We never got to see them, did we?
No, that's what they wanted. They wanted to be noticed. If you're going to protest for a cause, don't do it this way. Morons. I mean, there could be a driver, for all everyone knew, there could be a driver lying dead a couple of corners away. You've just seen this massive crash. You don't know how the driver is. And these guys are more settled and more intent on just sitting in the middle of a racing track.
To be fair, I doubt they even knew the crash happened. They're more interested in whatever protest. Do you know what it was about?
It was just stop oil, wasn't it?
Yeah, something about the wanting to force the government to stop using fossil fuels and things.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, F1 is doing everything it can to go, was it carbon zero by 2030? Sebastian Vettel had a run in Nigel Mansell's Williams, 92 Williams, using fuel that is entirely fossil fuel free, which is awesome, and it still sounded incredible.
They weren't even particularly going against Formula One on this occasion. They quite often are, but yeah, this was some protest against the government.
Yeah, and if you're going to protest at an event, it's going to be a sold-out Silverstone crowd. How many people? There's over 400,000 over the total of the weekend there, which is incredible. I think it's even more than when I was there last year. But yeah, throwing yourself onto and sitting down on a circuit with F1 cars speeding towards you, they would have been just smeared over this. Who knows what even could have happened?
Could have been crazy. Yeah.
Good.
Apparently, Norfolk police tipped them off that it was going to happen.
Really?
Yes, they did. I heard that. Yes. Yeah. What a link there to the local region.
The local constabulary. Here we go. Lovely. But yeah, it's they were dragging one of the guys off, and his trousers came down as they were pulling him off. Just imagine his bare backside being dragged across hot Silverstone tarmac.
Oh. Well,
bloody hell.
But
if you're going to do that, you deserve it.
With the old feathers, Neil.
Yeah.
Play with feathers, get your backside tickled. As Max says, what a great TV show that is. Can I mention the Latifi for a quick moment? Because last week we we berated him a little bit. You highlighted his qualifying, and then again this week, outstanding, Steve Latifi.
I'm going to stop talking about drivers because I moaned Bottas, and then he started doing well. Then I started having a go at maybe if I start having a go at LeClerc, he'll find it. Actually, no, it's not his fault. It's Ferrari, so that's not going to do anything.
We'll come to that race. That's the next topic. I want to know about that.
EJ, insanely jealous. Silverstone the whole weekend. So I went last year. Incredible. You can't beat it. If you're an F1 fan, go to Silverstone.
And we had no pictures, EJ. Come on, son.
Come on. But yeah, Latifi, he's been well off the pace of Albon all weekend, all season, sorry. And when they said that Albon was going to get the only upgraded Williams, then we thought, okay, well, Albon's going to be knocking on the door of Q3 maybe, or at least it's Q2.
Yeah.
Latifi will be on the back row of the grid, as per. And then insane conditions on Saturday, and he got through into Q2. Albon out because they told him to do a cool-down lap when he shouldn't have done. So Williams cost him that. Latifi threw into Q3 for the first time in his Formula One career, so fair play.
That isn't the first time Williams have sort of messed up a strategy, though, Steve.
Oh, no. No, they've messed up strategies before. They will do again. Teams do, and not with such shocking regularity as a certain Italian team, but teams mess up strategies. But, yeah, this was... it was amazing. I was watching it on TV, and Latifi snuck into the top 10, and then conditions started getting worse. And he thought, no one's going to beat this. And he was into the top 10. First time in his career. All he had to do was keep it there throughout the race. That didn't happen. Unfortunately, it picked up damage, apparently, which was costing him performance. But to be fair to him, he was troubling the top 10 for a large portion of that race. And I was thinking that the points could be on, but... There we go. It
doesn't say a lot for the new upgrades, does it?
It's tricky because I think their upgrades, they didn't plan on having such mixed conditions that they did all over the weekend, because FP1 there was virtually no running. And then it was mixed conditions the rest of the weekend. And unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to see them during the race because he was out within a couple hundred meters. But from what they were saying, there's positive thoughts from it, and they've got a bit of optimism about what they have seen. So they'll obviously, I reckon they'll continue to run them in Austria in a week's time, or a few days' time. But yeah, is it going to be enough to save Latifi's seat? No, because he's been under pressure for so long. What's that saying? One swallow doesn't make a summer, or something like that.
Yes, that's the fella. Yeah, one swallow doesn't make a summer.
One good performance out of 9 races doesn't do a lot. If he can keep it up for the rest of the season, but I suspect it will be business as usual in Austria. But fair play to him. Great weekend for Latifi. And it probably did a lot for his confidence.
Another great weekend. Not another great weekend, but a good weekend for Mick Schumacher, I believe, Neil?
Yep. Yeah, he outperformed, what's his name, his teammate, for pretty much all weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Good point. Good
yeah,
point, didn't he?
He did.
Mick Schumacher in the points.
I thought Verstappen at the end there was a little bit harsh on him. He had to run on him, especially towards the line, beat him on the line, and Verstappen basically gave him no choice but to ease off, or neither of them were finishing. I just think that's a bit of a dick move, but hey, that's me.
It's some of the racing you've come to expect from Verstappen, isn't it, really?
That's when he really gets his elbows out, and it's what he did to Hamilton all of last season. It's what he hasn't been like with LeClerc this season. But you think as soon as things get a little bit tight for him, that's the Verstappen we'll see. It is relentless, and he won't stop at anything to get what he thinks he can get.
There's still that hot-headedness about him, isn't there? He's obviously not a rookie. He's been around for a while now. That he's not got that junior status anymore. But he doesn't make rookie errors, but he does still get very hot-headed. And it's like he thinks, sod the consequences. I'm going to defend this. If we both end up out, we both end up out. Like Monza, obviously Silverstone last year, Saudi Arabia. You can count many more.
You can.
But it's amazing how much different he's been this year with Leclerc alongside him rather than Lewis. Not saying that there's any sort of correlation, but I think Verstappen's driving a little bit differently this year because he's got a championship to lose. Last year he hadn't got a championship. He had nothing to lose. Whereas now he has got a championship. And this was another example of sort of going back to early Verstappen. You don't need to defend that hard, You're fortunate that your championship rival has lost points because of a team blunder. You're going to finish 7th or 8th. Don't push that hard, It could have ended badly, like you say, for both of them. But so happy for Mick. So well deserved. He's had chances for points in the past, which has been thrown away either by driver error or reliability, like in Canada. So, yeah. And did you hear his radio after the race as well?
No.
Oh, it's so heartwarming. Him and his engineer have got such a good relationship. I remember was it his first season last year, he damaged the car. And his engineer was like a comforting arm around his shoulders. And it's okay, Mick, don't worry. We'll come back to the pits. We'll get you a new front wing. Don't worry. Just do the best you can. It's fine.
Is that important, that relationship?
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Important aspect?
Yeah. I think it is. He's the only guy you speak to, really, throughout a race. He's the first guy you're going to see, really. You need that debrief with him. It's nice to see. We've had it in the past. There was Sebastian Vettel. He had an engineer at Red Bull called Rocky, and they had a good working relationship. And it is really important because that guy is going to be the one to motivate you through this race as well. Like with Mick,
give you good and bad news throughout the race.
Yeah, like if it's Charles's engineer, always bad news. But I'm still pissed off about that. But I think it is vital. It really is. Because this is the guy, he's going to be in your ear the entire race, and you need every information you can get from him. So
it's important to have that trust element as well, then, I guess, where you both trust the other in what they're saying, what they're thinking, and how they're feeling about. Because, Formula One cars pick up about 5 million stats, I think, per race on cars. You have to have that level of, I'll double check that in a second, but you have to have that level of trust with each other, right?
Yeah, you've got each driver will have their own guys that will talk to them, and obviously they have to relay whatever the team want to do to the driver, and they do need some experience, and you do have to trust them, because I think that was half the trouble last season for Norris when he didn't pit and when it rained. If you've got that experience and that trust, he would have demanded that he came in, and that would have been that.
I do feel quite bad for the engineers sometimes, because they're the ones who are going to get it in the neck, first of all, from the driver. If something goes wrong on track, or if there is a strategy call that goes wrong, the first guy that's going to get Lewis Hamilton's bad attitude or Charles Leclerc's bad, anything like that, it's going to be that guy there. And he's just going to go, I'm sorry, I'm just doing what the team have told me to do. Don't shoot the messenger.
I was wrong with what I said a second ago. So this is based on the 2019 Williams car. You'll be pleased to hear this one, Steve. Had more than 350 sensors and over a Grand Prix weekend generated over 17.5 billion data points.
I find that very hard to believe because that car was shite. It wasn't picking up any data.
Yeah, it was however many billion forms of shite information. Yeah. It was just basically saying how crap it was all weekend. Yeah.
Right, I can tell you after going through the Maggots Becketts at Silverstone, I'm still shit. I still understeer like crazy and I've still got no downforce. Great, cheers.
Brilliant. It's a great article. You should read it. It's about practicing meetings and all sorts. But 17.5 million. So it's important to have that relationship, and the strategy needs to be correct. You keep mentioning his name. You're desperate to get into it, like a Lee Cattermole 2-footed tackle. So Steve LeClerc, Ferrari.
Charles Leclerc.
Talk to me.
How many race wins has he lost? 4. You know, he lost Monaco. Ferrari strategy. Obviously, Azerbaijan and Spain couldn't be helped.
Nope.
Canada may well have won that as well. We'd never know. Obviously, he started at the back. But he had it. He did everything right. He had half a front wing, and he was still quicker than Carlos Sainz in 2 separate stints. He was fighting Lewis, fighting Perez. He got the elbows out. Bold move against Perez. Really damaged the front wing. But the guy was looking really quick. Considering Perez had to come in for a new front wing, Leclerc stayed out. And it was looking like he had it in the bag. They told him to switch with, or told Carlos to let Leclerc go through. I did feel a little bit quite sad for Carlos because, first pole position, you want to get that first win. But they told Charles to go through. He was quicker. And as soon as it showed that Alpine stopping on the straight, why is Ocon stopping on the straight for a start? As soon as it showed him stopping there, that should have been Ferrari going, get Charles in. They can double stack. They had the time. As it turns out, they had the time to double stack.
So why wasn't? Why didn't they?
Didn't Sainz? He was quite a bit slower, because they wouldn't swap them earlier in the race, would they? No. They kept them where they were, and which really put them under pressure from Hamilton. Mm-hmm. But I slightly agree. They went with the car that was, got pole. It's the man ahead. You don't have to do a Red Bull and basically always go with one man. But you can understand why Charles was annoyed. He did look quicker. He had body damage, and he was still looking the quicker of the two. And it proved it at that second point where he got ahead and he was pulling away from him. Carlos just couldn't get the tyres to work. And then, as you say, Ocon and where he chose to stop.
Stupid. It was the earlier in the race when Leclerc was behind Sainz and they're telling him, okay, we've told Sainz he needs to do 132.2, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And Charles is going, it's not quick enough because he got Lewis. Lewis was absolutely insane yesterday. He was a man on a mission in that car, considering how poor it's been. He was in another league. And he was catching them at a vast rate of knots and they were too slow reacting. And Ocon, as soon as it was on TV, as soon as that was on TV, because Ferrari would see the same footage that we would see as spectators. As soon as that was there, react, get Charles in, because he would have the pace to beat Lewis and Carlos on fresh softs. And it's another example of a Ferrari just hesitating that little bit too much and throwing it away again. I get that Carlos had pole, but look at the driver's standings. Verstappen is down in 7th position.
Mm-hmm. They had a chance for, was it a 19-point gain? 19. And was it about 7 in the end?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Hamilton, BJ said, Hamilton had a slow pit stop, which did cost him time. But, react earlier, swap your 2 drivers when you need to. Because, yes, Carlos got pole, and yes, it would be great to get his first win, which it was. But you've got to look at the bigger picture. You've got to look at the driver standings as well. And I know that no driver is bigger than the team, but how much money would Ferrari get if they won this championship?
I half wonder with the slow tyre warm-up, Hamilton could have pitted a little bit earlier and potentially been more in of a fight with them. But with the slow stop anyway, there's just so many things. And if Ocon hadn't have, how the race could have been different. Yeah. But then in that last moments, we had quite the spectacle.
But those last few laps with Leclerc, Perez, and Hamilton. I mean, Sainz was gone. He was in another league by this point. He was just cruising around. He had a bit of radio in his ears, maybe. He's got one arm out. He's going for the win. Everything happening behind him, and then drivers going wide, drivers forcing each other off. Great clean racing. There was no contacts. Questionable, but no contacts. Alonso trying to get involved, Norris trying to get involved. You had 5 different teams fighting for a third place. It was just, it's fantastic. F1 has rarely had me on the very edge of my seat in recent seasons, but that was just incredible. Great driving by all involved. Deserved results for Perez and Hamilton, I think. The noise of that crowd when Leclerc and Perez went wide and Silverstone just erupted when Hamilton snuck through into second. It was insane. And then Perez went, "No, you're right," and just absolutely went full
that double overtake.
That Mercedes just looks terrible there, doesn't it? On those soft tyres. You think that should have been an easy move, should have kept the places, and they just cruised straight on back past him again. Yeah.
It was. I mean, you could see how happy Hamilton was to be third. He's become so used to winning that race in the past few seasons. To be third for him there is good, but you can imagine the atmosphere. And even though he didn't obviously win or he didn't make that move last, the fans absolutely loved it. I think the fans are one of the biggest winners out of this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah, without a doubt. Look, it's 31 minutes. We could go on for 31 hours, I think, of this race. There's so much that you just unpack as you discuss it because there were so many twists, turns, storylines developing, emerging, continuing. Anything else before we depart? Is there anything else from this race particularly that's on your heart, on your chest? EJ Hope is going to join us next week with some photos and going to have his say as well. Everyone's more than welcome to do that. Yes. It's how we roll. He also said we've got Metal J. Yesterday's race was the edge of the seats up. No, sorry. Yesterday we even provide sound effects here. I mean,
you go. That is, I might as well be at the track.
We might as well be. That was like Hamilton's going past right there. I was like, I'll wait for Metal J. Yesterday's race, what the edge of the seats are made for. I will buy you a fan for next week, those two. EJ Norris, never write your race off. You never know when a safety car can make your day. Just ask Verstappen in the World Championship. Fans are crazy every time. Never forget, boys. Never forget. Crazy every time Hamilton drove past it was. By the way, is anybody else begging BBC to change their Formula One advert where they keep saying this time it's personal? It's like Hamilton's back in 8th.
Yeah, it's not going to be out there fighting with Verstappen, is he? Come on. One thing I did find quite funny was Charles Leclerc referring to Hamilton as an 8-time champion in one of the interviews. He's an 8-time world champion. No, he's not. He's 7. So, well corrected. Well done.
That was with wasn't Vettel there as well? Wasn't that between us? We've got 8 world championships, and then everyone laughed and
something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've seen the same clip you've seen. Sorry, Neil, you're going to say something. Now you're going to jump in 2-footed Lee Cattermole style.
Moments passed, mate.
Just like Hamilton on that double overtake. Anything else before we go, then, boys? Anything else?
No, luckily it's.
Where did Lando finish in the end? Was it behind Alonso?
Yeah, P6 in the end.
Because he pitted to try and stop Alonso getting a run at him on fresh tyres, and then he had to pit again because of the safety car. So basically, just screwed up his race.
And I don't want to mention it, but it was another weekend where you end up thinking, where was Danny Rick?
Yeah.
Danny Rick.
Poor guy. What is going on?
He's the Latifi in orange.
Breaks my heart.
He enjoyed his birthday, though.
He did.
Yeah.
It's rude not to, wasn't it?
But I don't know if we touched on it. I can't remember how long ago it happened. Obviously, AlphaTauri confirmed Gasly there for next week or next year. He'll be there next week. Don't worry. Week after, not so sure.
Week with our drivers.
Next year, Gasly will still be with the team. So has that taken a bit of pressure off Daniel Ricciardo? Because Gasly was one of the guys rumoured to be in for that seat. So,
well, you got to watch out for Latifi now making moves, Neil.
Oh yeah.
If he comes to McLaren, I'm supporting a different team.
Oh, you're not. Nonsense.
I will.
Follow the team, man.
You have got to follow the team.
Even though my guy's left Williams, I still support him in the team.
I'd only have a team with one driver, one car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bit. Yeah, Lando. I mean, I'm surprised Steve's not gone with Russell. I think in his heart he has. But
I'll always be a Williams fan. I will always be a Williams fan, but
a silver Williams fan.
Yeah,
yeah. I do miss George. They showed footage from last year's Grand Prix of Lando and George standing up on a fence waving to the crowd, and obviously George was there in his Williams t-shirt.
Oh,
I remember those days. I'm still not over it.
Bless you, Steve. Bless you. Well, where are we next week?
We are in Austria.
Oh, I've been to Austria.
Race.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful place. Beautiful circuit as well.
Where is it in Austria?
It's in Spielberg.
I haven't been there.
No. The Red Bull Ring. So there's going to be a lot of Red Bull fans there and a lot of orange for a certain Dutch driver. So it's almost like it's like his second home Grand Prix, isn't it? And he absolutely smashes that circuit every year.
I think his due bounce back after Silverstone.
That's my fear. Even though I want Leclerc to absolutely wipe the floor with everyone this weekend, I can't see it.
Nah, they'll mess up the strategy or something stupid. You know what they're like.
Of course.
Standard.
It will be 30 degrees, baking sunshine, and he'll be starting the race on full wet snow in Ferrari. Just in case, because they saw a cloud over there.
They saw one cloud. Have you seen the video where he's being spoken to by the management?
Yeah, but also just giving him the old.
What do you think was going on there? Give me some captions there. What do you think the conversation is? There's a lot of the old finger pointing.
From what Sky believed, and something else I heard since, he obviously had some words to say, and Binotto obviously can see the bigger picture and told him that he was wrong as such, or as I heard recently, he was told that basically via the bigger picture that we basically chose and don't go to the media blabbing basically.
Careful what you say. Adrenaline's running high. It's easy for them to come out and say it was all shite, but don't. I think he's going, don't forget, you're at Ferrari forever. That's what it was. That's the look on his face. He's going, oh, nah, as long as you're here, mate, we're going to do to you what we did to Vettel and Alonso. Ruin them.
Says there's a lot of venom, didn't he, Neil? I really felt that. That was a real cool.
Sorry, I will have a couple more nights sleep and a few beers and I'll be over it. But it's
just haven't been the same without, Jean Todt and Ross Brawn, Stefano Domenicali.
Oh, Stefano.
Right, we're done. We're dusted.
To answer your question, EJ Norris, Belgium, 26th to the 28th of August. Right,
I've got to change this room back into a laundry room for 20 minutes because apparently someone's at the door with a load of washing. So take us out, Steve.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Everyone getting involved. Love it. That conversation was absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to you coming on next week, EJ, as well, seeing your photos.
Absolutely.
So we're back on Monday, 7:15, after what's hopefully been a nice, tasty Austrian Grand Prix with a Charles Leclerc win and Latifi points. So yeah, thanks for getting involved, and we'll see you then.
I prefer a more quiet Grand Prix. Wouldn't you, Neil? More quiet one?
No.